It is Monday. I'm sorry, it's not Monday, but it is Tuesday, May 25th, 2021. It is 306, has been 365 days since we have lost George Floyd. Protests have broken out all across the country and the city. And we all remember that video when it was released, and we saw Derek Chauvin with his knee on Eric's neck for what at the time appeared to be 8 minutes and 46 seconds, but we now know it was for well over 9 minutes, almost 9.5 minutes to be exact. It's been 365 days. Today, we will take you back and on a journey to how the protests all broke out here on May 27th, 2020. Just 363 days ago at this very hour. And then this past weekend, we managed to catch up with the Andre Hill family, both of his sisters and his brother, as well as his daughter and grandchildren. And a big majority of his family were in attendance at the Andre Hill birthday bash celebration in the Brittenell area. And not only that, we managed to catch up with Melissa St. Clair, the founder of Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children, and some of her co-founders, and we spoke with them exclusively on yesterday at their event they had at Bicentennial Park. Plus, we had a conversation today with Representative Dontavius Jarrells, and we have to correct the record. So we are going to revisit how the city is still forcing environmental racism on some of our poorest, and I shouldn't say poorest, but underprivileged citizens here in the city. Plus, we're going to cover all that and much more today, right here on the Unbought. So, y'all.
Now listen here on the Unbought and Unbossed Show with Devontae Goins. He's here to skip past all the drama by reporting on news stories that are relevant to Black America without all the hyped up false context that drives ratings. Our news deserves special attention, and Devontae intends on giving it that attention right here on this show. Right now, this is the Unbought and Unbossed Show with Devontae Goins.
Yes, today, and let me begin with this segment. It was just 365 days that we lost our dear brother George Floyd, and that infamous hashtag that shouldn't be an infamous hashtag came back into the American rhetoric. Hashtag I can't breathe. It's the same hashtag we heard from our dear brother Eric Gardner in New York City just years ago. And 365 days ago, we heard Brother George Floyd utter that as one of his last words here on this earth, as the killer Derek Chauvin put his knee on his neck for 8 minutes and 47 seconds at the time of what we thought was right. And just weeks ago, we learned that it was not 8 minutes and 47 seconds, but that it was almost 9.5 minutes. Well, today, while this may mark the year anniversary that protests broke out here in this city began just on May 27th. So we are going to take you back on a journey to try and explain to you how the protests here in this city sparked outrage on Broad and High at 10:30 at night on a Wednesday, midweek. There were literally over 300 to 400 people, and more came in as the Unbossed Network was not only birthed at that moment, but more people came down as they saw it on the local and national news because the State House was being overtaken at the time. And not only that, you need to understand how we even got to that point, because it was a little more than just George Floyd's death. Now, I want to take you to a piece produced by our partners over at Matter News.
I was at home. I think it was Monday when we was watching George Floyd. Wasn't that Monday? And it had this dude with this knee on his neck, and I was just like, oh my god. And as I watched it, I'm just thinking, oh my god, I hope this dude ain't about to die in front of us. That was the part right there that was just going to make me go crazy. 5 in the morning, I was screaming and yelling. And I was just yelling and screaming. I was just and I was just going crazy. I was just like, and I couldn't even go back to sleep. So I went downstairs and was like playing the game, but I just kept seeing it. And then I watched it again. And then once I watched it again, I was like, for sure what I saw. Like, oh yeah. I talked to a couple of people the next day, and I'm thinking, damn, what can I do? So I made a post. I was like, yo, we're gonna go down to Lockbourne and Livingston, and we're gonna stand in the middle of the street and block traffic. We're gonna screw up the city right there, so that everybody notice that listen, somebody organize something, everybody will follow, and we can get something going. So then I started the next day walking down to Lockbourne and Livingston because I wanted everybody to meet there at 5 o'clock because that's rush hour. You know what I mean? So as I'm walking down there at 4:30, I clicked the live button and I start going live, so everybody can see what's about to happen. And as the people saw the sign and saw me taking initiative, it was like a tornado started blowing. It was like, and it was like I couldn't stop because they was giving me so much power. They were like throwing money out the window. Someone was just like, "Come here, just let me touch you." I'm like, "It's Corona," you know what I mean? Like, come on, man. I was just like on the sidewalk that whole time, and I thought, man, we supposed to be in the street. I went down the yellow line in the middle of the cars, and they was stopping and just blowing their horns and going nuts. And then the boys was coming up behind them, the cops, the police. And he pulled up, and before he could even get the shifter up in park, he had his foot on the ground. So the car was damn near still rolling, so you could hear it clicking, and it came to a screech because he jammed it up in there, like skirt. So I knew right then and there. I said, "This dude is aggressive," and I got this gun on my hip, and I'm just like, I don't really want no problems with this dude, for real, for real. And he was like, "Listen, I don't want y'all doing that, and I want you back up on the sidewalk." And I had the sign over my head still, and I started dropping it like this. And I was like, as it passed my eyes, I was like, okay. And I was like, okay, yes. And he was like, he reached out, grabbed my hand. He was like, hey, and don't put your hand by your gun. And that's when I was just like, as I was turning, I was like, hey man, you can't say nothing about my gun. When I got on the sidewalk, he tried to scoop my knee and dump me over for no reason. But I'm on the sidewalk. I'm where you want me to be. He said, let me go, turn around, and went back to his car. But now he tried to scoop me. Then he went up top over my head, tried to pull me down in the front where headlock. I put my hands up. When I put my hands up, that's when he started screaming, "You're going to jail! You're going to jail!" And I'm just like, "Damn, what is this dude talking about?" Like we was only fighting like uh, at the most 60 seconds before we were surrounded by cops. Then they all jumped on me and started punching me and working me over. And then it was a gang up thing. Now it's like, what do you say? What are you saying he did? Okay, that's what we're going with. Let's go. With those protests, it's like I see all those white folk, and then I was riding my motorcycle all the way out there, and I saw Black Lives Matter all the way out in Dublin, just looking at them nice houses, and I think, is that real? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't matter until I get to live next door to you.
And that story was produced by our partners over at Matter News. And the story you were just watching was how the Columbus protests all sparked out. And it sparked out because of what happened to Christopher Ratton. Because Christopher Ratton dared to be a leader because he was outraged. And when he dared to be a leader, the Columbus Police Department assaulted him. They beat him. They took him down to the ground and they held him in jail for over 5 days until protesters, activists, organizers, and citizens alike took to the street and called as one of their demands for his release. And while he was released and all the charges were dismissed, he still suffers from PTSD. That's how we got to where we were on May 27th, 2020, which led everybody to downtown Columbus, to the intersections of Broad and High, where for an hour and a half, at least, protesters were in a standoff with police and what is now known as riot gear, and with police who were on horses. And then right a little after 10 o'clock, between 10:15 and 10:30, canisters of pepper spray were released from the officers in riot gear and were released from the officers on horses, spraying everybody in the immediate vicinity. And then we took to the streets to get justice by any means necessary. Even as a reporter, I can remember standing over on the intersection, still in the middle of Broad and High, but toward the intersection of West Broad, heading towards the west side of Columbus, towards Front Street, right by the Huntington building. And the officers pepper sprayed all of the reporters as well. And I could remember trying to get that burning sensation out of my eyes and wiping my eyes, and it would just continue to burn and continue to burn. And somebody came by with some water and poured water on my eyes, and that did help a little. But then someone else came by with milk, and that helped even more. And then as I was wiping the milk off of my eyes and trying to dry and get the camera back up and to get moving forward, I quickly was pointed across the street to the other reporters, and I quickly took off running because the State House was being overtaken by the people, or I should say the People's House was being overtaken by the people, and that would strike what would be known as one of the longest protests for justice and for Black lives here in the city, or as I like to call, the summer of war with the city to get justice for Black lives. Now, throughout this past year, we have gotten some change. We have gotten some justice, but it is not enough. And while we have gotten some justice and some change, we need more. And in the same token of us getting justice and change, police officers have beaten people. They have not only beaten and assaulted people, they have placed charges on people that were fundamentally invalid and flawed and inaccurate charges, what we call phantom warrants. They have not only done that, but officers in this city have stared and trumped up just things that were just factually incorrect against protesters because they didn't want anything to happen. Officers not only have done that, but CPD is responsible for 3 out of the 4 deaths of Black folks due to the cause of law enforcement in the last 365 days. Not only that, that on day 3 of the protests, the CPD and Franklin County Sheriff's officers or deputies rather, sprayed United States Congresswoman Joyce Beatty, at the time Franklin County, who is now Franklin County Kevin Boyce, and Columbus City Council President Shannon Harton. While some of us, including myself, may all believe that was just a PR stunt, they got sprayed, and only then did they have to retreat. Then we can't talk about all of this without talking about the curfew being imposed and the National Guard being brought in to impose that curfew. So all of that transpired in a matter of minutes and hours and days. Because we were finally fed up and said, we won't take any more of this fucked up shit. And the moment we said we wouldn't take any more of this fucked up shit and took to the streets, they kind of got black folks back in line around here in Columbus. And they got black folks back in line around here in Columbus by taking 4 of ours. Mind you, we didn't take any of theirs. While they may say some of their officers were assaulted while being downtown, and riot gear during the protests, none of their officers lost their lives. But today, as I sit here, 2 black brothers, Brother Casey Goodson Jr. and Brother Andre Hill, lost their lives to the hands of law enforcement. Brother Hill lost his life to the hands of CPD. And just weeks ago, literally a month ago in March, leading into April, Brother Miles Jackson and Sister Micaiah, they are Princess Sister Micaiah Bryant, lost their lives at the hands of CPD. All that has transpired in the past year since we said we were fed up and sick and tired of being sick, and we're going to take our streets back by any means necessary. While it may have started off like that, it hasn't ended up like that. And so, Black Columbus, I ask you tonight, why the hell aren't we taking back our streets right now? Why the hell aren't we doing it? Why the hell are we seeing mass shootings in downtown Columbus where our kids are killing up our kids? Black people are killing up black people. The murder rate is at an all-time high. Black Columbus, I'm asking you, why aren't we taking to the streets demanding for justice for black lives? But yet, we are taking to the streets to demand justice for what's going on in the Middle East with Palestine and Israel right now. And none of that affects what goes on back here at home. But yet we refuse to take back to the streets and take control of our streets like we did for almost 30 days here in Columbus. See, the problem with us here in Black Columbus is once we get one foot going in front of the other and we theoretically have our knees on their necks, we take it off because we get scared because they come out with tactics that are nothing more than scare tactics. You see, we got to keep applying the pressure. And until we continue to apply the pressure, we won't have any sort of justice. Watch this space. We're back right after this tonight with more news to come.
My name is Julius Bailey, and I seek to become your next city commissioner here in Springfield, Ohio. A vote for me is a vote for clear-mindedness, sharp and detailed analysis, and a care for people. I'm not a typical politician. I'm an administrator, a teacher, a servant. I don't promise what I cannot deliver, and I don't scratch where I don't itch. I'm a builder, an observer of talent, an organizer of people and ideas. I listen first. I act cautiously with a swift desire to meet the practical needs of people. I'm not going to politicize whether wearing a mask in public to avoid the spread of coronavirus or if that is such a restriction of free speech. I simply care for myself and others. I'm not going to be afraid to say that Black lives do matter while also fully supporting those law enforcement officials who are committed to safety, respect, and honor to the badge. My pro-choice stance, it does not make me pro-abortion, and my advocacy for same-gendered loving couples earning access to all of civil rights, it don't make me non-Christian. Springfield, we have real problems. We must broaden our business and job-creating base. We must support colleges like Clark State and Wittenberg who seek to hone the talent, minds, bodies of our citizens to move us all toward greatness. You know, I want you to see what a political office ought to be. Springfield, Ohio. Let's build together.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
Back here live tonight. Over this past weekend, we had the opportunity to catch up and spend time with Andre Hill's family, from everybody from Carissa Hill, his amazing daughter, to his sisters, Michelle and Shauna, and his brother Al. And also this weekend at his birthday bash at the Brittenell Community Rec Center. Prior to that, they dedicated a creek and a memorial park in his honor. And right now, I want to show you some of our interview that we had, or really not some of it. We're going to show you all of it right now. So cue that up, control room, all of the interview we had. And then after that, we want to show you a tour of the amazing park known as the Andre Hill Memorial Creek and Park, right off of Brittenell and Argyle. So let's roll that clip, control room. Do you have it ready? All right, there we go.
This part to Andre. Actually, he was a community person, so he was always active in the community. He always involved people in the community and liked to do things with the community. So this is a perfect opportunity to offer something and bring him in, even though he's not here, part of his legacy. So his gesture towards community is still here. I love it because, like I said, he was a community person, he was a people person, and to see the people come out and to interact with each other, come together for the common purpose of him and to honor him and to bring the community together, because we've been through so much. It's awesome. He's ready to shoot some ball, he's ready to cut the ribbon, eat. He loves to eat, so he's all for this. This is his atmosphere. He loves it. So like I said, he's a people person, so he would absolutely love this. It's a lot because we did grow up in this area. We have like huge family ties with a lot of the people in the community, and if you know Brittenell, you know it's a small suburban community within the city. It has its own special flavor and flair. So it was like you were friends, but you were also family. So it means a big deal to us, and it would be to him as well.
Sister Shauna, thank you for having us out, number one, and for speaking with us. Shauna, if you're out there watching tonight, while we're doing this, the control room right now is queuing up the ribbon cutting. The ribbon cutting was absolutely amazing, and we are going to show you that right now.
While they cut the ribbon, 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday, Andre!
Say his name.
Andre Hill!
Say his name.
Andre Hill!
Say it louder.
Andre Hill!
Say his name.
Andre Hill!
Say it louder.
Andre Hill!
Say his name.
Andre Hill!
Say it, keep it. No, let's go.
All right, first party, y'all.
Let's go. We just out here.
So the video you are taking a look at right now is actually a tour of the Andre Hill Memorial Park and Creek. To your left, my right, you are looking at the creek, and right now what we are walking through is the actual park of that is named after Andre Hill. So that's it. The park looks amazing, and the family was able to dedicate this with special thanks to the organization called the Millennial Movement. So thank you to the Millennial Movement for inviting us out there, and to the family for allowing us out there. Now to catch you all up on a little bit about the Andre Hill case, in case you haven't been following along. Well, the family just 2 weeks ago settled with the city, and what shouldn't be, but is being taunted and lied out as the largest settlement in the city's history when it comes to this type of case of $10 million. But not only did they make a $10 million settlement in this in their lawsuit case, but they are also getting the gymnasium for which Andre grew up playing basketball in at the Britnell Rec Center, named in his honor. And so it will be named when it is unveiled here in the next couple of weeks, the Andre Maurice Hill Gymnasium at Britnell Rec. And what an amazing honor and impact and legacy to leave for your family, to have a gym named after you. So happy 40th birthday, Andre. I wish we had the opportunity to spend it with you here in person, but seeing that we don't, I'm glad that we had the opportunity to spend it with your family, and that they allowed us to spend that special, precious moment with them. And a precious moment indeed it was, with dancing, laughter, basketball 5 tournament. I don't know who won. I know it was some intense playing and hoop shooting going on, because there was some trash talking going on a little earlier in the day before the tournament kicked off. So we have to find out who won, but the tournament was on fire. To all the vendors out there, thank you for coming out to support this family and surrounding this family with love, care, and affection. When we come back tonight, we still have to talk about the Yankee Majestic paint explosion, and a correction we have to make. Well, it's not really a correction, but when I'm wrong, and I'm not afraid to tell you I'm wrong. So we'll talk about that. And also, Soldier. A soldier who shouldn't be a soldier, but she is a soldier. The founder of Mothers of Murdered Children of Columbus, Melissa St. Clair, sat down with us in an exclusive one-on-one interview with us at Bicentennial Park before she led her event. We'll have that for you as well. All that and much more to come. Hold that spot. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after this.
Welcome to Cardwell Mobile Notary Service. I'm Leandra Cardwell. I run a full-service mobile notary company. We specialize in apostille, loan closings, structured settlements, and more. Wherever you are, I'll be there. Even in your home, I'll be there. At the hospital, I'll be there. Nursing homes, I'll be there. At the library, I'll be there. Coffee shops, you pick, and I'll be there. And yes, even remotely too, I'll be there. Just submit a request on our website. Don't forget to locate us on Facebook and give us a call at 614-999-0149, and I'll be there.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
So we're getting some texts and comments about why I am so mellow today and so toned down on the show. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's really getting to me, and I don't know. And really, it's like a surreal feeling that we are literally. It has been 365 days since Brother George Floyd was taken from us by a knee being placed on his neck. So that's getting to me. And then all of this that has transpired with us becoming known now as Little Chicago, to for Black folks been taken at the hands of law enforcement to us finally getting a chief from outside of the division, which should have happened a long time ago. Everything that's going on, it's just really hitting home for me tonight. And so I know a lot of you tune in for me to tell it to you real raw and truthful. I still am. I'm just not. Everything is just becoming and starting to hit. And for journalists, that happens sometimes. It doesn't happen while you're going through everything and covering the story, but realizing it's literally been a year, and then hearing Brother Christopher Ratton talk about how the Columbus protests like popped off and things got shaken here. It just really done something to me tonight. And so with that, I'm still myself. I'm still here and covering this, but really, we are now at 80 murders, an all-time high here in the city. We didn't have this many murders last year in the city until like July. That's not good either, but that's saying a lot because 2 years previous to that, it was even later. So, and then we just had a mass shooting in the city too. And to stand on the very grounds where those bullets were flying, and just hours before that, the bullets were flying, and there was a pool of blood and people getting trampled and pushed down, and that done something to me, and it's really starting to hit home with me as well. So I don't sit here and lie, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say that I'm all right, because I'm physically and mentally not all right at this moment, because how can and why should you be all right during all of this? Why should you? And then everything going on with politics in the city. Don't even get me started on that. That is, it's just I'm at this moment. I'm not all right, but we'll get through it, and that's literally why we didn't do the show last night, because we knew we were coming up on this day, and we were trying to figure out how to deal with all of that as a team. And because when you tune into this show, you tune into it because not only do we give you the facts and analysis, but we also tell you what you don't want to hear sometimes, and we tell you what you want to hear too. And so you tune in and you look to us for guidance and for consolement as well. And that was just hard to do yesterday, and so we took some time off to prepare for it today, because today it was just going to get even harder. And as we lead up to the year anniversary of protests here in this city, it's just going to get harder and harder. But we're going to continue to keep showing up day in and day out, just like we did which you will see tomorrow, an event we covered in the Shepherd community, and about a Black artist who is receiving a fellowship, I believe it is, and one who last year received a residency from the Columbus Art Council. Not to tell you too much. And then not only that, we also made it up to, and special thanks to our friends and partners over at the African American Male Wellness Agency, who invited us up to the seniors. And when I say seniors, I'm referring to senior citizens. So our seniors community affair event that was held up off of 161 at the New National Church's adult daycare facility. It was just amazing getting to spend time with our seniors and our elderly here in this community, and actually learning a lot from them. Learning a ton from them, and even partaking in a meal with them. And to all of the people who participate in the elder care community, we thank you. if you're doing the right thing, and for all the support and love that you show to them. So today has truly been a busy day, and then we even managed to make it downtown as well to the 1 year later George Floyd event that was held at the State House. So we've literally been around the city and back today, and we continue to show up for you. And that's what the Unbossed Network was meant for when it launched a year ago today. So yes, I said all that to say this: we are officially 1 years old, and since we are officially 1 year old, a year old is probably the more proper and effective way to say it. Since we are officially a year old, there is so much stuff coming down the pipeline that I just cannot wait to talk about. That, oh boy, just wait till June till you see what we have in store for you. So if you've liked some of the shows we currently have on the network, from our flagship show, the show you're watching right now, the Unbought and Unbossed show with me, to the Black Liberation show, to Bold, Black, and Gifted, you are going to love all the other shows that are going to be coming. We have some kick ass, killer ass shows coming. And did I tell you that we are going to begin broadcasting 7 live hours of coverage a day right here on the very platform you are watching? And then we are going to rebroadcast that in a cycle 24 hours a day. You'll be able to tune in right here to the Unbossed Network and get live coverage anytime of Black news that's going on here in this city. That's something that's never been done, and we are happy that here in the coming weeks we finally get to unveil that to you. So that's how we are celebrating our 1 year anniversary, or our 1 year birthday, being a part of the city. Just wait, you think we are celebrating one in a big way? Just wait to see how we celebrate 2 years though, because like I told you, it just doesn't stop here in Columbus. Just wait to see what we have in store for going into our second year. I'm going to go to another quick break, and then when we come back, we are going to talk about the mass shooting that happened over this past weekend, where one is dead, a 16-year-old, and 8 were injured, and out of the 8, 2 were trampled. We now are going to hear from community members who are calling for the curfew, which has been in effect since the late 90s, mid 90s rather, to be enforced. So all that and more right when we come back here on the Unbossed Network. Keep it locked.
I am so thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I'm thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I am super thankful for StreamYard.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossedFanClub Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
So I'm going to throw the control room for a loop right now. So let's hold that story about curfew really quickly, because I want to add something to the last segment about us turning 1 and the amazing year to come. I forgot to, and charge it to my mind, not to my heart, I forgot to tell you all thank you. Because without you, we wouldn't be here have been here for 365 days. We wouldn't have made it through a pandemic. We would not only have made it through a pandemic, but we would not have made it through the crazy year that was. We just fundamentally would not have made it. It's through your tips, your love, your support. And without our members of the UnBossedFanClub, let's give it up for the Unboss fan club. And if I myself in the control room had the sound effects queued up here tonight, I would play more of a big round of applause for you, but I am applauding for you all tonight and saying thank you to you all, because what you all did for us, and I may get knocked for telling you the amount, but you all brought in, without advertising, you all, members of the Unbossed Fan Club, brought in over $15,000 in membership dollars. Now, this year, help us get to our goal of $50,000. But you all, members of the Unbossed Fan Club, who chose to become members and to support Black-owned local media here in the city, who is reporting boots on the ground, a lot of times live. No other network is doing what we are doing. No other news outlet is giving you coverage of the news the way we are. Like last night, for example, as we were leaving out of the studio, there was a major car accident right outside of our studio here on Leonard Avenue and Fifth Avenues, and we were able to pull out our cameras and to begin rolling. And because we knew the sergeant and some of the officers on scene at that car accident, we were the only outlet out there, number one, but we were able to get up close and personal. And while you didn't see any of those pictures because they were so graphic, we got to walk the scene, and that's how we were able to report that literally there was a ton of blood from that car accident, but there was no one around, and the car was stuck in a pillar of an overpass bridge. Yeah, crazy stuff. You all should have seen the pictures, and if not, you can go and find them on our Facebook, and Instagram, and Twitter pages. So go do that. And if you haven't become a member yet this year of the Unbossed Fan Club, I implore you to do so, because membership is how we grow and how we thrive and how we bring all of these shows to you from all around the city, but not just all around the city, but how we pay for our team, the studio that we are in. Because when we started, we were just reporting live on the ground using our phones. Now we have a full 4K studio with multiple sets. It's just amazing. And I'm in Studio A. We have Studio B, C, and D here as well. And then because of you, we also have a studio, a satellite studio built in my house. So yeah, truly, it's all because of you. And this year is only going to get better. And because of you, we have been able to hire staff, and we are in the process of hiring more people. So thank you, Black Columbus, for taking care of us. Because as I tell you often, and as I tell everybody when I'm speaking with them, and they're asking, how do you do this, Devontae? What I tell them is, if you take care of Black Columbus, or if you take care of your audience, our audience is Black Columbus. Our audience, which is Black Columbus, will take care of us. So thank you for taking care of us, because we continue to take care of you by bringing you the news like no one else will. So with that being said, you can become a member for $50 a year. $50 a year is all we are asking you to do, which is $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day, cheaper than a cup of coffee. You can go to paypal.me/UnBossedFanClub, Cash App $UnBossedFanClub, or patreon.com/UnBossedFanClub to become a member today. There have certainly been people that have given less than $50, and certainly people who have given more than $50, and I appreciate it all. To the people who could only give $1, to the people who could only give $50, to the people who gave a whole lot more. I appreciate you all. Also, if you would like to write a check or money order, please write your check or money order out payable to Ordinary People Media Incorporated. That's Ordinary People Media Incorporated, and our address is 818 Rose Avenue, Columbus, Ohio 43219. 818 Rose Avenue, 43219. Now, with all that out the way for the moment, we can get back to the news. Yeah, we can get back to it now. So, yesterday we had the opportunity to sit down with Melissa St. Clair in an exclusive one-on-one interview. Melissa St. Clair is the founder of Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children. And her organization have the daunting task of welcoming mothers who don't want to ever be a part of this organization to the family. And so far, they've had to welcome over 80 families and counting this year alone. Last year was 175. Since their inception, they have grown to well over 1,700 families. Watch this.
I'm calling for the enforcement of the curfew because everybody knows that there is a curfew. It's a law. So when I heard today that they're not going to enforce the curfew, then why do we have the law? Are you willing to say there is no curfew then? Because if you're saying that it's not going to be enforced, are you then willing to go into a conference and say there is no curfew? Because what he just did today was say we're not going to enforce it. You just empowered whomever was watching to say, I'm not going to get in trouble.
Absolutely.
So what I would have liked to him say, let's say there's a curfew, explain what it was, just like you did, under 13, 10 o'clock. So parents, there's a curfew, this is what the expectation is. There could potentially be this consequence if parents, we would like for your partnership in the engagement and enforcement of this curfew. Instead of blanketly just saying we're not going to enforce it, that in the one statement that I don't want to ever hear again, it is not the police job to raise your kids. We're not asking you to raise these children. We are asking you to partner and give tools to those who are struggling in raising their children. If we wanted these children to be raised, we would put them up for adoption. We're not asking for that. We're asking for a bridge. If he wants us to come across that bridge, I need him to come across too. And that is one tool. Curfews save lives. What happened at Easton when they invoked the curfew? When they enforced it, guess what happened? Stuff stopped happening. Better believe when that stuff happened at Polaris, there were some rules and expectations put in place. There's rules and expectations in schools. There's rules and expectations everywhere you go. Can we have some in the city as well that is in partnership with families in enforcement?
I'm going to call you look at my shirt. Get your freaking kids. We have to be responsible for our kids. Our kids is killing our kids. It's not your kid killing my kid. It's our kids killing our kids. Get your kids. You got to be accountable for. You got to know where they're at, what they're doing, and who they're doing it with. And you have to make them responsible, and you have to be responsible for them. There's no reason why 15-year-old kids was downtown Columbus at 11 o'clock at night at a party unaccompanied by adults. What was the problem? Where was the adults? Where were you at? Find your kids, get your kids, and this isn't just in Columbus. This is nationwide this is going on. We are losing generations of kids. One young man dies, that's at least one child that's going to go with him. We have to do something. As parents, we have to own up. My kids come to me, Mom, can I what? Who's there? What's the why? Who, what, when, and where? And at this point, I'm a grandma. I go to the skating rink with my granddaughter because she can't go to the skating rink alone. Where's the parents? I'm a grandma. That's what the parents need to do. Own up to their kids, hold them tight, and get them in. And my favorite thing, flip their rooms. Because my son's room got flipped all the time. I got a mention of something was out of order. I flipped his room and I did the research. We got to get our baby. We have to. We don't have a choice.
And you're going to get a call from Miss Susie Smith saying there's somebody looking in your trash can. We have to bring the old school values, because once the old school values, remember streetlights? Streetlights were our curfew. Streetlights were our curfew. And I want to say this about, I called for a citywide curfew. There is a curfew. To my understanding, if you're 13 years old, you're supposed to be in the house by 10 o'clock. The one thing that I was disappointed in the city of Address today is when Mayor Ginther said, we're not going to enforce the curfew. Why are you having a curfew, or why do you have a law that you're not going to enforce? But yet, when there was a George Floyd protest, there was a curfew if you was 75 years old. If you was a person that wanted to be heard and you were out after a certain time because it was dangerous, they surely enforced a curfew. So you cannot tell me it can't be done. A specific name, because until that person comes, if I said someone specifically and that person wasn't chosen, I don't want the person chosen to think that I'm not willing to work with them. Whoever is chosen and appointed, I want them to know that there's organizations throughout all of Columbus that are ready to partner, reheal, rebuild, and bridge the gap of what has caused such a division. It is imperative they start with the youth. You have to start young, you have to break cycles, and you have to give opportunity.
And that right there was Mothers of Murdered Columbus Children founder Melissa Thomas St. Clair, and another mother who sadly just became a mother of that organization not even a full complete year ago. See, this is what I was referring to earlier tonight with how I'm at a loss for words. Some of you are wondering right now why we have not aired what was said during that press conference. We aren't going to air it on this network, what was said during the press conference. Because if you want to see what was talked about during the press conference, you can go watch it on one of the other outlets or on YouTube or on the Facebook of the city's pages. I'm at a loss for words because one of the things Melissa said rings true. When I was growing up in the 90s and early 2000s, we was all up in our house who could beat you too. And then tell your parents, your mama and your grandmama and them that they beat your ass. And then your mama, grandmama, whoever was taking care of you would beat your ass again. That's just how it went back in the day. I'm at a loss for words tonight because it's kids killing kids, babies killing babies, essentially. I'm at a loss for words tonight because there was a mass shooting in Columbus. 8 people injured. Out of those 8, 2 people trampled, and a 16-year-old who lost their life. I'm at a loss for words tonight because the mayor got on TV and said that the cameras at Bicentennial Park were not working. I'm at a loss for words tonight because the cameras would have been working had it been red, white, and boom. The cameras would have been working had it been white kids shooting white kids. Or let me rephrase that. The cameras would have been working if it was a white kid that got shot and 8 white kids that got injured. And it was a black shooter. The cameras would have been working. The cameras would have been working if it was somebody up in those skyscrapers or in those $500,000 to $1 million condominiums condominiums, rather, downtown that were being shot at. The cameras would have been working. The cameras would have been working. But I'm not saying the cameras weren't working because they were black kids predominantly. That's why the cameras weren't working. I'm saying the cameras would have been working had it been anything else, but the cameras should have been working because you tout this as America's opportunity city. But not only that, Andy, the cameras should have been working because of all of our tax dollars that we have put into, whether we wanted to or not, into the Scioto Mall and into Bicentennial Park. And yet the cameras were not working. The cameras were not working. And 8 children got injured. 2 children got trampled. A party got shot up. And a 16-year-old lost their were not working. The cameras were not working. I keep reiterating that phrase and that statement that the cameras were not working because I wanted to sink in for you how our political leaders, our elected officials, they look for coverage when events like this happen. How our elected officials, when things like this happen, they don't want to make the tough call or the tough decision. I keep reminding you of that phrase because the cameras were not working and they should have been working. Will we know who the shooter was? Maybe not, but the cameras should have been working. We would have a lot more answers than we do now. The cameras should have been working. The camera should have been working. But not only that, should the cameras have been working, I think we fundamentally do need something that needs to be done. I do agree with what Melissa said as well when she said there was a curfew that was enforced. No matter your age or your credentials or your affluency, there was a curfew enforced just 360 days ago. There was a curfew that was enforced all around the city. There was a curfew enforced. But yet, they won't begin to enforce the curfew for this. Will children, minors, hate the police for enforcing this curfew? Will police officers retaliate because they have to enforce this curfew? Will they retire? Will they do a blue flu? They'll probably do all that and more will probably happen. But you see what happened in Easton when they begin to enforce their curfew. The violence went down very quickly because they enforced a curfew. I was in Pins this past Sunday with my family, and in Pins, when I walked in, it said, "We are open until 7 for minors, anybody under the age of 14. Anybody after 7 who is under the age of 18 by an adult." That's something being done right there. And if it could be done in Easton, it could be done here in the city of Columbus. It's been on the books for many years. There's many things that could be done, but the city is refusing to do them. There are fundamentally good programs they are trying to implement, but they aren't working. And they won't work until, let me put it to you this way, Black Columbus. If you want to change something, if you want to see change, you got to give a radical answer and response for that change to happen. Sometimes you got to go ape shit, boom, coo, crazy for people to get the message. Because clearly, 8 people getting injured, 2 who were trampled, 6 with gunshot wounds, 1 16-year-old who lost her life. Wasn't a big enough wake-up call. And keep in mind, Black Columbus, there were literally 12 mass shootings that took place all across America this weekend. And then Columbus was just one of the mass shootings. Something needs to be done. Something needs to be done. Something. Our elected officials need to quit sitting on their ass, and they need to do something. And I tell you what, where do we go from here, Black Columbus? Where we go from here is you need to get on the phone and you need to call Shannon Hart. You need to call Ella Tyson. You need to call Mitch Brown. You need to call Ned Pettis. You need to call the police chief. You need to call all of these people, Emmanuel Ramey, Elizabeth Brown, Rob Dorans, Shayla Favors. You need to call all of your local elected officials and tell them they need to do something, because our murder rate is at an all-time high and we are quickly garnering the name of Little Chicago. And we are not garnering it for the good reasons. We're garnering it for all the wrong reasons. We need a change, and we need it now. Watch this space.
Sometimes your life won't turn out how you planned it. It turns out how you work for it. How you wake up and you chase that dream every single morning. It's what you give your time and your energy to that takes you to the next level. And that's royalty. You see, many of us believe that just because our father was a drug dealer and our uncle was a drug dealer, that is our life and that is our forever. But I want you to know something. That is only a lesson to show us to be something more. It's a mentality. Roses can grow in the projects if you take care of the soil. It don't matter how big the house is, baby. It's the love inside of it. Take care of your community.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
Hey everybody, we're back out here live on the scene. We were able to move to a better vantage point. I'm literally right in front of it on 5th Avenue and Leonard. Let me flip the camera around here so you all can see what's going on. So the Majestic Paint Shop is right in front of me. So we just got an update from the fire chief, Battalion Chief Steve Martin. And what he told us is that there are 5 victims. They all are in stable condition, and they all are in local area hospitals around the city. He also informed us that there is still 1 person unaccounted for, and that when they arrived on scene, they immediately started trying to put out the fire in a sense, and then explosions started happening. And he said in some ways, when you're back up in there, the outside of it is like an oil rig. If any of you have ever seen an oil rig and what the explosions of an oil rig looks like from movies, that's how he describes it as. Still a very livid scene. He also did inform us that this is only a 2-alarm fire, so there were reports that there were more alarms than that, but he was able to confirm that it was only a 2-alarm fire call. And so we're going to stay out here on top of this story and monitor it. But I did want to let you know that we were able to make our way to a better vantage point and also to speak with the battalion chief and confirm more information about what was going on and what happened.
So that was the morning of April 8th, leaving out of April 7th. The video you were just watching was of the Yankton Majestic paint explosion. Some of you, I know for a fact, a lot of you felt it because it woke us right up out of our sleep, and then which is literally just footsteps away from our studio and just right down the road from my house. I felt my house shake, and that happened. It really happened. And so as a result of that paint explosion happening, we called out elected officials for remaining silent. Well, tonight, I want to not issue a retraction or issue a correction, but I do want to correct the record and set the record straight, because when I find out that we have reported something wrong, it is fundamentally mundane for us to correct it and to set it straight. Now, I'm going to do that in a way that some of you may not like or agree with, but we're going to set the record straight here tonight. So here's how we are going to fix it. On later that week, we wrote a story entitled and posted it to our website entitled "Community Members Upset Elected Leaders Have Been Silent During an Environmental Crisis." The worst part, other than the loss of 44-year-old press room supervisor Wendell Light during this environmental crisis, is that political leaders have remained silent. Elected officials in this city will speak out about crime and violence, but won't speak out when environmental races happening right in front of their faces, and community leaders are awaiting for them to do something about it, or at least acknowledge the fact that one of the most outspoken Black communities in the city suffered an environmental crisis that will affect their everyday lives for years to come. The Yankton Majestic Paint Corporation erupted an explosion shortly after midnight on Thursday morning and burned for nearly 12 hours. When first responders first arrived on scene, they transported 8 people to multiple area hospitals before finding and extricating Mr. Wendell Light, who was reported missing initially. Viewers from all over have been reaching out to the network, sharing their stories of how they heard the explosion from as far as Southville, Tuckahanna, Ohio, and Westerville, Ohio to Georgesville Road. Here's what we do know at this hour. The Yankton Majestic Paint Corporation has been in business since 1920, and they employ approximately 180 people from around Central Ohio. Yankton Majestic manufactures markets industrial coatings that include acrylics, acrylates, coil, and powder coatings, exploits, primers, and urethanes. Now, we are going to push further down this story for the sake of time in order to correct the record. The Unbossed Network, at the time of publication of this article, hasn't received or even seen a public statement made via social media about the paint explosion and fire from any elected officials. United States Congresswoman Joyce Beatty has remained silent. Columbus Mayor Andy Ginther has remained silent. City Council President Shannon Harton has remained silent. All city council members have chosen to remain silent. 25th District State House Representative Dontavius Jarrells has chosen to remain silent. Franklin County Commissioner Kevin Boyce has remained silent, and 15th District State Senate Senator Herschel Craig has remained silent. So tonight, I want to set the record straight, because just hours ago, we had the opportunity to catch up with State Representative Dontavius Jarrells. Now, it still remains true that he did say something in context with posting a link, sharing a link to another outlet who he did a story with, ABC6, with Jeff Reddick. Well, we did explain to him tonight that we called him out because we can't confirm what he tells another outlet for news. We can't like double confirm that. Sure, he's saying it out of his mouth straight into the camera, but that's not a double confirmation for us and how we do business here at this network. And so at that moment in time, we didn't have a double confirmation on him giving a public statement about it. But tonight, after further conversating with him and further seeing it, he did make a statement. So he hasn't chosen to remain silent, and he's actually now working with community members of the Shepherd community and the Brittenell community and the North Central Area Commission to, now listen everybody, to bring the EPA and OSHA to the table to begin to talk about where do they go from here in this environmental racism? How do they get payment for this? How do they get people to come out and test soil and all of that? And he is trying to set up a conversation with all of the appropriate players. We've also been told that he is going to invite he's going to invite State Senator Herschel Craig to be a part of that conversation with those leaders as well. And also on top of that, he's going to be working with States Congress Spady to have, whether she joins him or not, his office is going to have in the Shepherd community conversations with the community to talk about where do they go from here and to begin to work with them to put together some not only legislation, but to also get them some environmental justice in this area as it relates to this. So tonight we are setting the record straight that he has not chosen to remain silent. He just didn't scream it from the mountaintops, and he just didn't send us a press release either. So Don Tavius, thank you on this particular issue for not remaining silent. Next time, to scream it from the mountaintops or shoot us a press release or shoot me a text or DM or something to let me know. And let's not let this go too long the next time. Well, we want to take one more break and we will be right back after this.
I am so thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard.
I'm thankful for StreamYard.
I love StreamYard. I am super thankful for StreamYard.
If you're tired of mainstream media outlets selecting news stories and events that don't appeal to Black America, then become a member of the UnBossed Network today, where we are the voice of Black America and providing coverage of events and news stories that you won't hear anywhere else. Visit theunbossednetwork.com to become a member today.
Well, everybody, I need you to go right now to and become members of the Unbossed Fan Club. It's been a pleasure spending the past 365 days with you and creating all of this and bringing you the news, but become a member so we can continue to do this of the Unbossed Fan Club at paypal.me/Unbossed Fan Club, Cash App $ Unbossed Fan Club, patreon.com/Unbossed Fan Club, because that's all we got tonight. There ain't no more. Time is tight. It's the end of the show. So grab your hand and make a fist and raise it. Listen to me and remember this. I tell it to the elected. I tell it to the unelected. I tell it to the young and I tell it to the old. Don't want no laughing. Don't want no crying. And most of all, no signifying. This is my Columbus, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Unbought and Unbossed. This town and city. Good night, everybody.
Thank you for watching the Unbought and Unbossed show. If you haven't already subscribed to our channel, what's holding you back from smashing the subscribe button? Don't forget to hit the bell to get notified every time we post a new episode. Devontae will be back here every single weekday, breaking down the most important news stories to Black America. We'd love for you to share this episode with your friends and family. And remember, Black America, to keep it real because your conscience depends on it.